Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we will be discussing how to solve the day 8 problem of Hackerank's 30 days of code, which is based on dictionaries and maps. So let's get right into it. Our task is we are given n names and phone numbers. What we have to do is we have to assemble a phone book that maps the name with the respective phone number. We'll be given an unknown number of queries for which we have to print the phone book set. Now for each name queried, we have to print the associated entry from our phone book on a new line in the form name and then an equal to symbol followed by the phone number made as an entry. Now if the query given has not been made an entry along with the phone number, then we have to print not found. Now the way I have solved this is I have used the hash map data structure. I think the hash map data structure is easy to implement compared to the others. Now, sample input will look something like this. 3 is the number of entries that will be made into our phone book. Sam, Tom, Harry, and their phone numbers are the entries, and after that, we have the unknown number of queries made. Now, we can see that Sam and Harry have been made as an entry in our phone book, but Edward has not been made along with his phone number as an entry. Hence, we should print not found. Otherwise, we can print name equal to and then the phone number. Now, this is how I have solved this problem. Now, first I have created an hash map. Now, I have named my hash map as the map. Now, we should remember that we are using only the hash map key value pair data structure for this problem. And in our key value pair, we should know which will be our key and which will be our value. So basically, the key is what we will be using to retrieve the value. And we can see in the sample input that Sam, that is the name, is been given as the query, which means our name has to be the key and the value will be our phone number. Hence, we should write the object declaration and initialization in this form. The key type is string and the value type is integer. Now this is where we create our scanner object. I have named my scanner object as in, and in this line, the first input line, we will be accepting the input from the user which will tell us how many entries will be made in our phone book, and based on that we can set how many times our input loop must run. Now the next line, that is our for loop, begins, and we have set the counter variable I to 0. The condition is that I must be less than 1, and we have to use I plus plus as the increment. Now inside the for loop we are accepting the name first as the input, string name equal to in dot next, then we store the number in the integer type, and then phone number is stored in the variable phone. And now if we want to add a key value pair to our hash map structure, then we have to use the dot put method. Now the dot put method needs two parameters for it to function properly. One is the key and the other is the value. Now our key is the name and the phone number is the value, so we can enter the parameters in this format. We should always remember that the hash map object name should come before the dot put method. Now the next loop is a while loop. Now why I have used a while loop here is we do not know if we are going to have any further entries, and we do not know how many entries we will be having. So for an unknown number of queries, it is better to use a while loop, and the condition should be in dot has next, or we can write this in another format, in dot has next equal to true. Now basically the scanner object dot has next is a very useful method in terms that it will check whether there are any more queries that are going to be made. Now we know that we must terminate our program once there are no more queries. So once this in.hash next returns false, then the loop will terminate and our program will get over. But if this is true, we must accept that query and print the required output for that query. Thus, when this results into true, it enters the while block. Now here inside again we have to accept the string name as the input, and the name I have stored in a temporary variable called s. Now basically if we want to retrieve a value based on its respective key, we must use the hash map name followed by the dot get method. The dot get method is similar to the dot put method, but it has only one parameter and it is used to retrieve values from the hash map and not add values, key value pairs into the hash map. So now, if we query for a key that has not been entered along with a value, then the program, should I say the method dot get will return null. Now, the first if condition I have put if the map dot get of s equal to null, which means that if there has been no entries made for this key that has been given as a query, then we have to print not found. Now, this continuous statement is not necessary because after the while block, we do not have any more statements to be executed. Or after the if block, there are no more statements to be executed. But in case we are working with very huge programs and we need to check this condition before we proceed to further code inside the same loop, then the continuous statement is very useful in the sense that it will rerun the loop without executing the statements after the if block. Now, if in case it enters the else block, this means that there has been an entry made for that respective key that has been given as a query. Hence, we must print the key followed by an equal to and the value. Basically, the name followed by equal to and the phone number made as an entry. Now we can run our code to check if it passed the sample test case. It has passed the sample test case. So what we can do is we can submit our code and check whether it works properly. Now it has passed all the 5 test cases and hence we know that our program is correct. Now how I debugged my program is in the beginning I had a lot of errors when it came to this hash map data structure. So what I did was I added log messages. So basically what log messages are. Now in this for loop, what are we doing? We are accepting the name and the phone number as the input and we are putting it into the hash map data structure. Now, if you have an error in this for loop or in this for loop, you will not, or in this while loop, you will not know when you run the program. So what we can do is we can add log messages. Basically, we can start another loop and we can print each key value pair of this hash map data structure. And we can check if it matches the input. And if that gives us the correct output, then we know that this section of our code is working completely fine. And hence, we have to focus on seeing where we went wrong in this while loop. And this is actually pretty useful because it helps making the debugging process really short and we can easily find what is wrong with our program. And once again, if you have any doubts or advice, let me know in the comments and I will see you in the next video.